What's up? Okay, I see the live button. We're live, guys. What's up? First of all, thank you if you guys jumped into the CCA stream earlier today. I was so nervous, but we got through it. It was fun. I feel like I think I might have delivered too much information, too much. It was dense, but it was entertaining and fun for me to be in the audience. So let's see. Today's guest, guys. He was gonna come to the show earlier in the month, but he had a cool trip scheduled down to Bay of LA, so we had to postpone, which is kind of worked out because now we get to hear about that cool trip too. So let's jump right into it. Our guest today is Ernie Gorham. He is put together California Fishing News. It's a channel on YouTube, and let's welcome Ernie to the show. Let me get him on the split screen here. There you are. What up, Ernie?
Hey man, how's it going?
Good, awesome. Good to have you on the show. Shout out to Coach Werf for putting us in touch. Thanks, Captain. Thanks, Coach Werf. Good stuff. So let's get right into it. And I like to start off the show. Oh, let's start off the show with traditional music, I guess. Here we go. I like to go right into it, right? So now we have to sit to the music together and dance. I'm just kidding.
I'll open my beverage as well.
Right. So here we go, guys. We're gonna do. Don't open it. No. Oh, you got it. It's alright. It's done.
Oh, my bad. I messed up.
My bad. What are you drinking tonight?
I got a Swami's. It's probably my favorite beer. The Swami's IPA.
Oh, cool.
Support. I love it.
Tall boy.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're
cool.
pints as well. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. All right, guys. I'm drinking the regular old cherry Coke. We're not gonna do ratings today because we're just gonna do our opening and we get right into the show. Here we go. We get 4 shakes. Oh, that's a good one. Here we go. Oh, that was a little bit splashy. Okay. Too fancy. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
All right, guys. So Ernie spends time doing research, looking at forecasts, looking at reports to have a better experience fishing. Something I need to work on. Something I think everybody can get better at. What better person to learn from than Ernie, since he's doing it and he knows where to go. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that a little bit into the show. First, we're gonna get to know Ernie a little bit more before we get into the nitty gritty. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so how long have you been fishing? Like, how old are you when you started fishing?
Like 2 or 3, man. I'm lucky, like most of us. My dad would take me fishing. So they are stories of, I guess, we were like on the beach as a family, and I would just approach strangers and start talking to them, and my dad would turn around, and I'd like be holding the stranger's fishing pole there, and they're like, "Don't worry about it." So yeah, I pretty much fished my entire life, and then in waves, as you become an adult. Yeah. Some in high school, a little bit less, and then back in college again a lot, and then ever since I've been fishing a ton.
Perfect. That's cool. As an adult or as a young adult, when was your first when you decided to say, you know what, I'm into this. I'm into fishing. It's what I want to get better at. How old are you when you came to that point?
I mean, I always loved fishing, and I'm one of like 5 kids, and my dad took all of us, but I was the only one that really stuck with it. But then in college, I met a buddy there who happened to be from San Diego as well, and we had a fishing club at Sonoma State that fished like the FLW largemouth tournaments.
Ooh.
So I got to fish 1 season with them, and dude, it was awesome. Some of those kids were raised on bass boats and really know how to use their electronics and all of that, and I'm not like that at all. I mean, I can catch some bass, but we learned a lot. We had a lot of fun, and that really sparked my like problem solving, like really getting into that side of fishing.
That's really good. That's super cool. So you started in freshwater. That's good. Were you also fishing saltwater at that point, or not yet?
Yeah, I mean, we grew up surf fishing, or my dad would take me off the jetties. We always fished the beaches. We never had a boat, so it was always either lake or surf fishing or something like that. But yeah, always a little bit of both.
That's cool. Do you remember your first salty fish?
I don't remember it.
Or like your first game fish?
There's a photo of me with a little leopard shark when I had to be like 4 or 5 years old. That's on the wall in my parents' hallway. So
that's nice.
I still get reminded. Yeah,
that's cool. That's interesting. So it's side conversation here, like tangent. I always thought it was cool to have like pictures of your kids. Like, do you think has that picture always been up at your parents' house with you and that leopard shark?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the family. There's got to be
Hmm.
50 of them throughout the house,
Yeah,
family
yeah,
photos. So like a
yeah,
few of them are me, and some of them are like the embarrassing baby photos
yeah.
without your clothes on and stuff. And then, but there's a couple of me with fish that I do like having
That's
around.
awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm just like over here like reminiscing and stuff, and also trying to think like I have photos of my kids doing stuff that's like not even that extraordinary, but I just like having pictures of them, and they can see that I'm proud of them and make them feel good. So anyway,
Dude,
yeah.
side note, I thought that you having your kids back up their little kid car with the kayak on it was like the coolest thing ever. Like I've told multiple people about that. I thought that was so rad because learning to back up a boat as an adult can be a little intimidating and all that. So I thought that was so cool.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go, man.
Aaron, my older one, he understood the concept of counter steering right away. I was like, all right, if once you're going backwards, if you want the kayak to go that way, you have to go the opposite. He's like, okay, all right. I'm like, all right, let's go. And so like it started because he's like, hey, this is easy, like driving just the car. I'm like, oh, it's easy, huh? Let's try to put the kayak on there then. See how easy that is then. But that's pretty fun. So let's get back to your fishing journey, basically, right? So the stuff you were doing as a student, was that in high school or in college?
That was in college, the
Cool.
tournaments. And I didn't know like the first 2 years. I came into it kind of my last year there,
Yeah.
so I only got to fish one season.
Cool.
But after that, my fishing partner from Sonoma State was really into the sport boat scene down here. So we ended up moving in together after college, and he took me out on my first like half day actually, and I caught a yellowtail, and that really started the next level of addiction. I couldn't believe how sore my arm was after catching a fish. I've got thousands of fish in my life from trout and bass, and after that one, I like couldn't hardly lift up my arm, and
nice.
that really set the next level addiction in.
That's perfect. Okay, so let's I'm gonna back you up a little bit, and we're gonna talk about significant lessons you learned while you were freshwater fishing for bass that now you find you can apply to your saltwater fishing or to your fishing in general.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that applies to everything is like kind of like forgetting about your ego a little bit. And since I knew that I came into bass fishing way behind these guys, like I would not hesitate to ask every single question. And I mean, especially like as males, we kind of get this thing where like, oh, I know how to do it, I don't want to ask him. And I kind of like took the opposite. And it's like, look, like I'm all ears, please teach me. And that took me a long way, especially on the sport boats when the first couple of trips you see everybody catching fish and you're not getting bit and you think it's the same. Like I have a sardine, they have a sardine. But you start to realize all those little like nuances that make such a big difference. So I think that was the biggest thing, is just being willing to like let go of your ego and just find out who the best fishermen are and try to learn from them.
Oh, I dig it. That's good. That's awesome. Cool. All right. So let's bring it back to your first sporty adventure. So what was that like?
It was rad. He always watched the counts, and he saw like the half day boat was catching some yellowtail. So we decided that night, like, hey, let's go. There was like 4 of us, I think, or maybe even 5. And we went, and it was yo-yoing. It was on the new Seaforth out of Seaforth Landing. And we were yo-yoing for him in like 220 feet of water. And I got bit, and I mean, it was really lucky. None of my other friends got bit, who are all much better fishermen than me. None of them got bit, and I ended up getting bit and landing it. So it was kind of serendipitous that like I very least he could have been skunked that day or gotten seasick and not have like even gone down this road. But instead I got hooked. That's
awesome. That's cool. Cause so many things could have derailed you right there. Right. When you get seasick, that's so you have to really commit to like push through that. It's pretty crazy. Cool. So you said he was checking the fishing reports. Is that kind of how you started like to build up your skill set as far as like what to check for to know that it was going to be a good outing?
Yeah, I was just kind of like that generation where I looked at forums all the time and looked at the internet, and depending on whatever I was into, whether it be like poker or some of my other hobbies, like I would spend hours and hours online, and you find like there's just so much information out there. So I kind of started to build that up so much, and then I had time where like I'd be on my computer for hours a day anyway, so I'd spend a couple hours days looking at all this. And it got to a point where even my friends who might have fished more than me wouldn't just be as up to date because they had more balanced lives maybe and weren't as obsessed about it as me or something.
That's funny.
And so I just like would have that information. So I started to kind of share it with them. And I also felt there was kind of a void in like the Southern California fishing like media. There's local knowledge and there's like those companies that do a few things, but a lot of them are just like packed full of ads, and
Yeah.
they're like the last generation. I feel like that modern wave hadn't taken over here. And I mean, there was like Rodney Marquez, and there's you, and there's John at Castro. There's a few that are coming up now, but I really thought there was a pretty big void, and I knew I wanted to do something with fishing, so it seemed like a good opportunity to kind of make my own thing.
Perfect. So, that's good. That's a great great segue actually. So, for people that haven't seen any of your videos, let's tell us a little bit about what they're like.
So I kind of just will do all the research on, I look at Bloody Decks, all the reports there, 976 Tuna, NorCal Fish Reports. I'm in like 10 or 12 different Facebook groups. So I kind of try to pay attention to what's going on and then try to organize it in a way that kind of makes sense to me. And then I'll give a report for the week. And I try to keep it succinct so it's pretty listenable, 15 to 30 minutes. I don't want to go on and on. But I'll cover like offshore fishing. We can look at marine traffic, so you can see where the fleet's fishing. You can look at temp break, so you can see like the sea surface temps and the chloro breaks. And that's all just really useful. So you start to see like, all right, all the boats are stacked here, and there's this temp break. So obviously the fish are relating to the temp break. And so I'll do a lot of that. And then I just kind of, do hours of research that anyone can do. It's not like I have like a secret code group that feeds me information. I'm just kind of taking hours of research from the internet and putting it in one place.
Yeah, you're aggregating it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Making it make sense. That's cool. And I enjoy it because, if I went to all those websites and got all the information myself, I wouldn't necessarily know how all that stuff correlates. And you're kind of explaining that. So I think that's like super useful, especially for somebody who doesn't know how to do that research on their own yet. So that's pretty cool. So you do these weekly?
Yeah, kind of weekly. I've fallen off and on with it depending on the virus and how motivated I was, and I wasn't sure where I'd be living. And but I've tried to do it weekly, and I will be doing it more. The season's really getting rolling here, and I'm here. I'm fishing a lot, so I will definitely. I'm more motivated now to make content than ever. So it should be weekly going forward, with occasional breaks depending on no one's paying me to do it. It's like it's at my own leisure.
Yeah, but that's just that's how everything starts. So I think like I was saying earlier, you just got to put one little pebble at a time, one little stone at a time. Next thing you know, you're gonna have a pile of knowledge, a pile of it's like an asset. You're building something. So good stuff. I like that you just took initiative and decided to do it. So that's super rare in and of itself. Let's see. So do you want to kind of like walk us through what you would check to see if you want to fish on a weekend or say you have some free time coming up? What conditions do you look for like a offshore trip or whatever?
Sure. I mean, it depends on what you're available to do. It's like I don't have a boat that can go offshore, so it's my first option is always like short surf fishing. I love fishing the surf, or fishing the lakes, or fishing the bay, or something like that. Or then I'll try to get rides and other things. But then it just depends. If you pay attention to what's biting, you just kind of see, like, there's been a whole bunch of corvina and nice spotfin croaker being caught in the surf right now. Yep. It's a great time to do that. It seems like La Jolla's fishing really well. It'd be a great time to go kayak fishing, so I might try to do that this weekend. As far as offshore, it's hard to say unless you, like, look at the counts and can book right after. Like, if you see they bit really well, you go. Or you just got to look at, the history of it. And it's like, if I was going to book a charter, I would book it at end of August to sometime in September or even October, because that's just been the past few years by far the best time. Awesome. It's like if you book a mid-September charter, like a 2-day trip, you can almost, you can't guarantee it, but you're very likely to have very good fishing then. So, or then I try to look for deals too, because like no one has like an infinite fishing budget, unfortunately. So I'll try to book like 976 tuna trips or private charter trips, or trying to find, the prices are really going up on the sport boats, especially with the limited loads right now. So it's not like you can just hop on it a day and a half whenever you want. They're like $500. So
it's a significant,
you gotta pick your spots.
Yeah, it's a significant jump for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about your recent trip to Bay of LA?
Yeah, sure, man. It was cool. It was awesome.
So first of all,
years ago, I went down spearfishing south of Bay of LA to Punta San Francisco, which it was awesome, but that was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And so I haven't been back down since. My buddies invited me. I didn't think I could go because of COVID and all of this other things, but it ended up just working out. And the drive down was smooth. They just finished the road. Apparently back in 3 years previous, you had to go through Ensenada and cut across, and it was about a 10-hour drive. And this time it was about an 8-hour drive. You went straight and you crossed at like Mexicali and you went down the 5. And the road is completely redone. It's a great road. It's really smooth. We did go through 2 checkpoints. Both the military checkpoints were totally fine. The one police checkpoint, he did want some document, and we had a water bill from where we were staying because like non-essential travel is still technically closed in Mexico, but at the same time, there's no cases in the Bay of LA, and like those people really need people to come down. They're starting to open up, so it's kind of a gray area. But we had a water bill, and anyways, they let us through. One guy we talked to did say he got stopped and he had to go back to San Felipe, and then he got the document from his like the person he was staying with and was able to go down there. So you can definitely go down there right now. The fishing was excellent. There was definitely less boats than normal. Like everyone makes bait in the morning. You all go out and catch mackerel, and like everyone's in a circle. Yeah. And well, now there might have been like 8 or 10 boats where normally there'd be like 20 or 25 boats. Wow. But the fishing was great. We caught yellowtail every day. We pulled up on the first spot. Have you spent a lot of time down there, or some amount of time? Are you familiar with the spots?
Yeah, I've been there like 2 or 3 times now.
Okay, so I'm just learning it, but we pulled up this first spot. I think it's called Soldado or El Soldado.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like a high spot that comes up to like 20 feet on top and then drops off to 90 feet.
Yeah.
And immediately there's like yellows on the boat, but we're using like 10-inch mackerel, and they're smaller yellows, like 10 pounds. So they kept mouthing it, or like I'm getting bait and taking it out of their mouth.
Yeah.
But our buddy Eric, he is like the most. I mean, he's not a bad fisherman. He's just newest to like fishing for big fish.
Yeah.
And he drops down a dropper loop in like 30 feet of water, which like nobody would do normally. Like that doesn't make sense for like most fishermen. But he gets instantly bit and pulls up like a 30-pound Gulf grouper.
Yeah,
so it goes to show like we make all our assumptions. What do we think we know? And he just smacked us in the face with it. And then we moved to like Punto Animas, which is like a 220 feet deep spot, and we started yo-yoing. I got bit on the yo-yo right away for yellows. It was just a blast. The second day was a little slower, but we caught lots of leopard grouper. The fishing was still excellent for me. We had a ton of fun. And then day 3, we really wanted to catch big yellows, so we spent a lot of time at Punto Animas, and everyone on the boat got like at least 3 up to 30 pounds. Like we lost some bigger ones too. It was epic fishing on the yo-yo and the chopper loop. Biggest yellow I've ever caught down there for sure, about 26 pounds. So it was just, awesome. It was, really, really, really fun. And then the last day I brought down my spear stuff because I too like have a background in freediving and spearfishing.
Yeah, dude.
And, my buddies didn't bring their stuff down. But, like I just knew like if I'm gonna go down there and we have an off day, like I'm gonna go.
So nice.
So we paid him for a half day, and he let me in a couple spots, and the water was really clear. I shot a couple leopard grouper sardinaras, and just had it. I mean, we ate fresh fish every night. We drank beer. The people were really, really stoked to have us down there just because. And we were able to ask the guy we stayed with, Ann Marpangaro, like, hey, like, how do you feel about COVID? Because it's like a weird thing where like you want to come support the economy, but you don't want to be like we're rude Americans trying to bring this virus down, right?
Yeah.
But they both kind of agreed that they had to quarantine too for a while, for like for a month or 6 weeks. If people even wanted to come down, they said, hey, no, we're not taking anyone right now.
Right.
But eventually, like they've had very few cases there, if any, and they started to see like the economic repercussions started to be worse than the actual health ones. And in San Felipe, I bought like a couple wool blankets, like the Mexican wool blankets that are cool. And she said she hadn't made a sale in like 2 months. So she was so stoked that like I spent $20 with her. So I think it's a good time to go. There's low pressure, and as long as you're like smart and safe about it, it's a great time to go down there.
That's awesome. That's good. That's a good report. So yeah, I was really curious about if they were gonna let you get down there and like how that was. So thanks for clearing that up. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I read there's reports on Bloody Decks where people had gone down and said they said nothing, and then other people said they brought like a water bill or some document.
Yeah.
They kept asking us for like if we had a reserva. So I think if you have like a reservation with who you're staying with and you have that, then it'll be no problem. And even then, the military don't care. It was just the police that were kind of enforcing it, and it seemed pretty mellow. But I understand some people might not want to go because they hear like borders are closed or something like that.
That's awesome. That's cool. Are you open for questions from the group? Yeah,
totally. But I also want to like throw out the first thing that's like, even I might report on these things, but I'm not a pro by any means. Like I'm learning like everyone else. I don't want to ever think that like I come off like I know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to like put out information that's out there. I'm not trying to come off like I'm sure there's plenty of guys in chat that have more experience and have caught more fish and more everything. So I don't want to come off like that, but I'm more than happy to answer questions.
No, that's fine. That makes sense. Like, I kind of got that impression too. Like, that you're not approaching this as like a know-it-all. You're aggregating the information the best as you can, and You're doing better than I would. So,
Thank you.
so that is like you're teaching me something, right? So, and I figure, you know what, you can also teach something to the guys in the chat. So, if anybody has any specific questions on like the stuff we talked about, reports, that kind of stuff, please put it in the chat. And we're gonna keep riffing here for a little bit, and then as we see questions come up, we'll answer those and take it from there. Okay. I'm gonna take like 2-3 minutes to kind of go through the chats real quick and just say hello to everybody, because I totally skipped that at the beginning.
Do it.
So I see Aiden in here. I see Oscar. I see Salty. Salty says if you're not first, you're last. Leonard, Oscar, Jet. Awesome. Everybody's here. This is good. That's awesome. So Wayne, I see Wayne. Cool. Good stuff. Thanks, Wayne. Dan, Captain Dan, Oscar, Garrett, Baker Lounge. Man, it's crazy that I know everybody's name now. Cody, Oscar, Doug, Eddie. So Eddie, plan your next hospital visit, says Eddie. Not sure what that means. Is he taught in here? Good stuff. All right, guys. Okay, I see you guys are in here. Cool. All right. I don't see any questions yet. Okay, sup, everybody. I was rewatching Roman's episode on CCA Facebook page. Almost didn't make it. Cool. Thanks for watching that, Cal. Good stuff. I got a jet flying over, guys. Sorry about that.
San Diego life.
Exactly. Okay, I see. There we go. I see Dirty Hookers in here. What up, dude? I forgot. Let me know if you want to join this. If you want to do an interview one of these Thursdays, dude. It'd be fun to have you on. Okay, I see Jet in here. Good stuff. Okay, all right. I don't see any questions yet. If you guys have any questions, pop it in the chat. Whose birthday is it? Whose birthday is it? Cody. It's Cody's birthday. Happy birthday, Cody. Cool. Awesome. Good stuff. Welcome, Darian. It's been a while since you've been in here. Good stuff. All right, cool. Let's keep it going. Cool. So, okay, let's go with some more fishing experiences, journeys, or whatever you feel like has been something that has meant a lot to you as far as like your fishing goes. Either like a significant catch, a personal best, or like just another cool outing with the family or friends that means a lot to you.
Sure. I mean, there's a couple that come to mind. One, I remember just getting skunked on the Tribute for like a yellowfin trip when, you know, I caught some tuna the year before when it's wide open, and I really thought like, oh yeah, I'm gonna crush them. And and we go out, and it was like 20 out of 22 people on the boat caught a yellowfin, and I didn't. But I learned, and there was one guy who caught 5 that day, and he caught one at every stop. And by the last stop, I went and I sat right next to him, and I was like, dude, I'm just not leaving your side, bro. Like, what are you doing? And
so good.
It turned out that day it was about like being first in the water right when we were there and throwing chum, because they would not stick to the boat at all. It was just like the first guy in the water had a good chance of being bit, and if you were like 20th in the water, you had a much lower chance. So that really stood out, just because like, you know, it put me back in my place where you think you know how to catch fish, and then I just got skunked.
Yeah, it gives you like a reality check, or like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Which happens still, I feel like, all the time. You think you get to, you know, good at something, and then you just get put back in your place. But it keeps it fun.
Yeah, it does. That's awesome. Okay, so we have. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there was a couple years ago. Also, I always liked writing, and so I wrote really long like trip reports that are like, you know, thousands of words, like really long form that I would put up on Bloody Decks for some of these trips.
Awesome. Ernest Hemingway.
And they're on my website, californiafishingnews.com. If people are really bored,
it was the best of days. It was the worst of days.
But there was a trip I took. It was like a 3.5 day in November on the Pacific Voyager, and it was like that period of time, I think it was 2017, when the big bluefin just went off. Like 150 pounders were eating 80, like you could get 5-10 bites in a day. And again, the first day I just got worked. Like I thought I knew how to catch fish by this point, but I've never fought fish that big. And, you know, I almost got spooled. I fought fish for 2 hours and lost them multiple times. Like, and then eventually I landed one, and I don't know, it's just another trip where I learned so much from the really good anglers. And, I mean, it was just insane. I probably got 10 bites from 150-pound plus tuna, and I put 2 on the boat. Nice. But some guys like caught 4 the first day and were like, "Hey, we're done. Like, I can't catch anymore. Like, I don't need more fish."
So. That's a lot of protein right there. It's a lot of fish. All right, so let's see. I have a question from Garrett. He says, "What's your day job?"
My day job, I've been working at restaurants and doing freelance like writing gigs. I was writing strategy articles for a poker website last year.
Sweet.
I wrote some articles, yeah, for another website about like cannabis. So yeah, I kind of do freelance stuff, and then was working in restaurants, but right now I'm not working in any restaurants.
Cool. I'm gonna start I'm probably gonna start a fishing magazine. So you wanna write for that?
Dude, I love it. Yeah, I like writing, and I learned when I was writing these like poker articles about like structure and how you need to make them these days, and about people's attention span and search engine optimization and all these things that I realized like I should be using for myself, not just for other people.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So I'm thinking about doing something like that. So we'll talk after the show. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Okay, let's see, and that's like a hint to everybody, like what's coming down the pipe. Dirty Hooker says he'll be down. Yeah. All right. He's on the board. We'll just have to figure out scheduling, but cool. Thanks for the answer there. Okay. Cal has a question. He says, which apps do you use? I think he means which apps do you use to like check conditions and stuff.
Sure. I mean, I love if you Google NOAA, NOAA offshore San Diego weather, it's a report, and it gives 2 reports for offshore San Diego. One is 0 to 30 miles out, and one is 30 to 60 miles out. That one's I always look at for offshore trips.
Should we do it? Let me do it. Let's see.
Yeah, do it.
Browser.
Just Google it. I should know the link better, but I still just Google it every time.
Browser. There's my browser. I gotta pick the right browser. Oh yeah, I wasn't ready for that piece. Let me go back to the split screen. There we are. And I gotta make a new browser. And then share that browser. Oh yeah, we're doing this, guys. We're doing this live. Choose a different browser. Where is it? There it is. Yes. Okay, good. And then we make this big. Okay, that's it. Okay, good. Now we can have a browser. Let's go with okay, what am I looking for?
Google NOAA.
NOAA.
Offshore San Diego weather.
Offshore San Diego weather. NB. That one? The first one?
Sorry, I'm watching, but it's on a delay. So
all right, cool. National Data Buoy Center.
Do the first one for sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let me see what it looks like over here on this screen. Okay, it's looking good. All right, cool. So there we are. Awesome.
Yeah. So you'll see they have that top paragraph, the synopsis for the far southern California coast. That gives you a general idea about where the high pressure and low pressure cells are sitting or whatever is going on. And then it gives by 2-day intervals, basically during the day and then during the night. Talks about the wind. Generally, it's less than 10 knots in the morning. Building to 10 knots in the afternoon is super standard, like everyday weather. And then gives you the swell with the 2 different swells and the intervals, which is super important. Any swell at like 8 seconds is miserable, and any swell at 15 seconds is totally fine, even if it's like 6 feet. So
that's awesome.
And then if you scroll down, you see that top one. It says from San Mateo Point to the Mexican border and out to 30 nautical miles. Yep. And then if you scroll down, it'll be from 30 nautical miles to 60 nautical miles, which is important, especially like when both start fishing San Clemente Island or any of those really offshore spots, because the weather can vary pretty drastically.
That's perfect. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. This is pretty cool. The formatting is a little simplistic, but like, I guess it's the information. You get the information, right?
Yeah, cool. It's your government, not very pretty, but
yeah, awesome.
For the pretty stuff, you can always use Windy. Windy.com is awesome. It's been very visual. It has like you can play out the timeline. That'll show you the wind forecast for like the upcoming week.
Oh yeah, that's nice. I
Windy's
up. Yep.
Excellent. And those are probably the 2 I would use the most. For freshwater fishing or whatever and other stuff, obviously you'd look at just whatever local weather reports or different stuff, but those are the 2 that I use the most for the saltwater.
Perfect. Oh, that's cool. This is really cool. I've never used Windy before, but I love the way it looks. It's so detailed and it's got that's cool. Super cool.
Color coded. When it gets green, it's blowing like 20 knots, gets pretty nasty out there.
Oh, yeah.
If it's ever yellow, it's like 25 to 30 knots, really bad. And then it also, you can animate like the over time, so you can hit play and it's like today it'll show you like, all right, during the day tomorrow afternoon, and it'll it's really nice, very handy.
Super cool. Yeah, awesome. Cool, let me go back to the other screen. Where'd you go? OBS, where are you? Done. Okay, cool. Coming back. Split screen. There we are. All right, we're back. That's cool. Good stuff. Good question, Cal. And thanks for sharing that with us. This is awesome. I know it's a Google search away, but it's like yeah, you're showing us some cool stuff here. Cool stuff.
Yeah, and I want to address. I see Slinging Lead's question about do you view AIS data to gather areas where lots of fishing is taking place? And I mean, the answer is yes. And this is one of those things that some people might, old school guys might like even take offense to, like find your own fish. What are you doing? But
explain what that is. That is because some people don't know what that is.
Okay, so I worked on a yacht for like 9 months, like as a deckhand, and so every boat, any big boat, has the AIS system, and the AIS is like a GPS beacon. It has your boat information on it, where you're flagged from, what type of vessel you are, if it's a fishing or passenger vessel, and your GPS heading, and you can see where they're heading, what speed you're going at. It's really great for safety because, like, if you're ever going through a main shipping channel or something, there's hundreds of boats, and you have to be able to click, and that way you can see, like, all right, I see this boat, I can call them on the radio specifically, not have to worry about it. So
just like a safety thing, you have to have that.
Absolutely, super safety thing. However, with the fishing boats, they get a little annoyed because everyone can see it now on their cell phone, and if like everyone can see where all the fishing boats, like no one has to do any work of themselves.
Yeah.
So I get their side of it too. It's a little annoying, but I mean the truth is it's the 2020, and you have to use the tools that are available to you, and it's, you know, the game's changing. And so while it might have been like frowned upon back in the day, I do look at it, but it's also like you have to look at it just as part of the puzzle. It's like, all right, these were the sport boats are fishing, so you can see what conditions are there. But it's like when I did my report yesterday, the sport boats were all sitting out towards like the San Salvador Knoll, but the guys in private boats are catching tuna like as far by the Coronado Islands to the 43 and down south to the Lower Hidden Bank. And so the sport boats have to fish like in certain areas based on like volume of fish and certain things. Like they can't fish smaller schools and stuff like that. So I definitely do use the AIS every week, but I'm not trying to just poach sport boats chum lines necessarily either. You know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's cool. You got to use the information that's available to you. I mean, it's that's a little bit of a I see a little bit of that friction there, because it's like the old school guys that are like not used to all this technology, and then you have all this technology just come out. It's like, what are you supposed to do? Ignore it, right? So yeah, it's balance.
Yeah, it's the way of the world now, and I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is what it is. And then it gets back to safety. A lot of boats are turning that off because they don't want anybody to know where they are, so they'll turn off their AIS. But then there was a couple incidents that, I mean, the tragic incident with the Pacific, or the Prowler, when the yacht hit the Prowler, and maybe they had their AIS off. If they had their AIS on, the yacht could have seen it even in the fog. So it's like the sport boats really should be having it on, especially anywhere high traffic. Yeah. If you get out like 70 miles offshore and you're going to start looking around, then you could like flip it off reasonably and still be safe. But I mean, the sport boats should be used.
I got a really big airplane flying real quick. I'm gonna close my window a little bit.
My brother's girlfriend used to live right underneath the air pathway, so I got very used to it.
Yeah, I'm like over here by Miramar, so there's like an unusual amount of traffic today. All right, there we go.
And then people can use marinetraffic.com or Vessel Finder, are both cool sites that you can use to look at the AIS data.
Oh, cool. Those are websites. You can Google those, right?
Yeah, Marine Traffic or Vessel Finder, either way.
Cool. And are those paid services or just kind of public?
They're free. I think you can pay and then get more options like track boats or something, but you don't need to. I just use free versions.
Yeah, that's the line step. That's like when you cross the line.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to be. No, I won't even say it. But this is like the big Billy Kay dramas about this kind of sort of deal, like selling spots online, and that's like not the cool thing to do. Or definitely wasn't cool, but now it's a modern. I see both sides of it.
Yeah, but it's like now that you say that, I'm looking at the between 2 and 20 fathoms. It's got like an Excel sheet of like GPS coordinates on there, and that book's been out for a while. It's like, yeah. Anyway, cool stuff. Good question, Cal. That question like sparked off a lot of conversation. So thank you for that question. It's great. Okay, so let's see. Brian says, wait, talking about birthday present for Cody. Good. Okay. Alyssa says, what do you do if a harbor seal are messing with you with your fishing? Oh, sorry. She says, what do you do if a harbor seal's messing with you at your fishing spot?
I mean, sometimes there's nothing you can do at all. It depends too. Sometimes they're actually eating your sardine when you put it in the water. And that is a pain. And other times they're just waiting for you to hook a fish and bring it to the boat.
Oh, yes, they can intercept. Yeah, that's true.
One time, though, I was on the 095 and we were anchored on like Desperation Reef by San Clemente Island, and the group of anglers was like relatively novice or casual, a couple of good fishermen, and then a bunch of just, recreational people. Recreational is the term that poker players use to be PC when they're not very good at poker. You don't call them fish, you call them recreational players. But anyways, the seals were on
the
us.
mark.
Exactly. It's to be polite. But the sea lions were on us pretty bad, and it's for most people like they'd put their nose hook sardine in the water, and the sea lion would eat it right away, and then they'd have to reel in and start over. And so I just noticed that time, like if I butt hooked it, the sea lions would still charge my bait, but because they have better vision, like at the last second, I think they saw that hook, and so they didn't bite it. Oh. And it gave that bait like just enough time to like shoot off to the depths and be safe. And versus, because the sea lions know they've got like 15 or 20 other baits coming over that they can just snag easily. And that time, like I hooked 3 yellowtail and landed 2 of them when the boat only got like 8. And it really, I think, came down to just hooking it in the butt versus nose hooking. And that's not like anything really advanced, but it's just about paying attention to those little things and seeing like, I just did it once and I saw like he ran right up to eat my sardine and then turned away last second. So it can make a difference sometimes.
That's so good. That's like just shows that you're paying attention. That's what makes you learn, dude. It's like you notice those things and then you save that for later, and that's something you have. Like if you're ever in that situation again, that's your little trick. You can share it if you want to, but it's awesome.
No, and then last year I was on the Aztec for a 2-day trip, and it was when the yellowfin and bluefin were there, but they were being really, really picky and like eating every piece of chum, but not really eating any bait with a hook in it. And I felt twice. I was either nose hooking, I was butt hooking. That's what it was. And I felt twice like my bait get really scared and run when you just expect to get bit, because your bait gets so scared. You just like know you're about to get picked up. And that happened twice, and I didn't get bit. And my mind flashed back to that moment with the sea lion doing it. And so after that, instead of butt hooking it, I shoulder hooked it. And like the next bait, I got bit and landed a fish. The next bait, I like hooked 3 fish in a row when most of the boat couldn't get bit. And it's not like, I think it just, that time came strictly down to shoulder hooking it versus butt hooking it, because the captain was like, hey, butt hook it. It gets away from the boat. That's what you got to do. But it's like one of those, examples of like linking 2 different things in your head.
That's cool.
I think it made a difference that trip.
I like it. So explain to me butt hooking. I'm going to put this Mad Mac up here. Is butt hooking over here by the anal fin?
Yeah, just above there. It can be a little bit forward or usually you see like, the butt and go right above that, anywhere in there. And
then shoulder hooking is right here.
Yeah, shoulder hooking takes a little bit of getting used. I mean, most people learn to nose hook first and then learn to butt hook. Yep. And then shoulder hooking can be like a little bit more advanced, but cool. Especially with a circle hook, it can be a little hard to get in there, but just practice it a little bit. And I swear, like, if you pay attention on the sport boats, a lot of times the best anglers are shoulder hooking, and there's a big reason for it. I really think it gets bit the best most of the time.
Okay, when you're shoulder hooking, is a hook going in this way or is it this way?
The first one.
So
perpendicular to the fish.
Yeah, perfect.
And you want to like make sure you grab enough skin, because if you grab too little, it'll tear off. But if you go in too deep, you'll break the spine. Yeah. So it's just about finding that sweet point. But like anything, just practice it a few times.
And here's where I'll add that like usually the pattern follows the spine.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
You just don't go far. Just don't go below the markings, I guess. Look for that lateral line. Just go above the lateral line, because the lateral line is a straight shot to the spine. Cool. Good stuff, dude. This is a good episode. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning.
Hey, thanks.
And I appreciate this. This is great. Okay, let's keep it going. I'm ready to... Oh, let's see. I don't know. Aiden asked if you're still freshwater fishing.
Yeah, I still do a bunch a year. I mean, I absolutely love fishing for trout in the Sierras, whether it be spin fishing or fly fishing. I do a bit of both. I love largemouth fishing still. Like I'll go a number of times a year to any of the local lakes, or Wolford or Hodges or Murray. So I love that. And dude, I mean, I really will fish for anything. I'll catfish a couple times a year just for fun, because it's fun too. So I do whatever's available to me, really.
That's super fun. Awesome. Okay, let's see. All right, guys, keep the questions coming. This is awesome. I'll catch up eventually. Here we go. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's an AIS question. Good. Okay, people. Okay, good. I should have done this while you were talking. Okay, Alyssa. Okay, this question for Alyssa. Okay, good.
It's hard. You're trying to listen too.
I know. Just like, I'm enjoying it too. I'm having fun.
Good, man.
Just like so much info already. Let's see, Aiden. All right, cool. All right, good stuff. Yeah, guys. I noticed a little bit of a delay, so just keep putting in your questions, and we'll get to those. Here we go. Have you fished other places in Baja? Asked Johnny. What's up, Johnny? Welcome.
I have. I've been down to the Rancho Leonero one time, which if anyone listens to Let's Talk Cook Up, they advertise freaking like so much you can't not know what it is.
Yeah, Captain Dan loves that place.
But
I want to go one of these days.
I used to work at Beachside Bar and Grill in Encinitas, and one of the regulars there is actually one of the owners of Rancho Leonero. And so he's a really wealthy lawyer guy, stupid amount of money, but a really nice guy. And they knew I liked to fish there. So I, built a little bond with them, and he invited me down there once. So I went down there and caught a marlin, my first and only marlin on the troll.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was cool, but it was like 100-pound striper, and they use gear to catch like 500-pound blue marlin. So It was kind of like you just put it in the belt and reel it in. I mean, it was a cool experience. I'm glad, but it's more fun to me catching a 50-pound tuna on 30-pound test or something, because it's like more of a battle. And then I fished like the Pacific side a little bit, but not enough. I really want to make it down to like San Quintin and fish with those guys. Baja is so cool.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So I really want to make it down there more, but it's hard to find the time.
Let's do it, dude. Let's do like a fishing / spearfishing trip, dude. Sounds fun.
Dude, I'd love it.
I'm fluent. I'm good. We got this. Okay, it's the Rich says, what happened to the tuna? I'm not sure what that means. The bite slowed the past week in SoCal. Okay, cool. Talking about tuna fishing. Okay. Aiden asks if you ever flounder gig.
Dude, I haven't. I did live in South Carolina for a few years as a kid, and I did catch some flounder. I've never been flounder gigging. I think it sounds super cool though, so it's on the bucket list for sure.
Cool. Good question, Salty. I like that question. Salty Dangler asked, we talked about going to La Jolla this weekend. How would you break down the info to see if it's worth going? See if it's worth the trip?
First, I'm no Kevin. I've fished kayak La Jolla a number of times, but not that much. I'm definitely not an expert. But the first thing, obviously, like look at the swell. It looks like it's not gonna be windy tomorrow. It looks like the swells are really mellow and spaced out, so that looks great.
I want to bring it up.
Keep then I would look at like the reports on San Diego fish kayak fishing. I would look at Bloody Decks, look for their kayak fishing forum. There's Big Water's Edge, and then there's the San Diego Kayak Fishermen on Facebook. So I'd kind of look at all their reports, and you'll see some guys are catching yellows right now. You do have to understand too, like for every guy that catches a yellow, there's probably 10 guys who don't catch a yellow or something. But it just seems like it's a good time to at least go and you have a shot to catch a yellow in a kayak, which I just think is so cool. I hooked a couple one day and I lost both of them. So I really want to get that yellow in a kayak back.
Nice. All right. So guys, I put together this like MMFC exclusive thing. I call it the La Jolla fishing dashboard. It's got a bunch of information from other sites, kind of like slapped together in one easy to see format. There you go. So here's where we would look for like the wave height and the peak period and all that stuff. It's here. It's an embed from the script's peer buoy and forecast and stuff. So this is kind of like what we're talking about. So for Saturday, it looks like Saturday is going to be around 1 foot, which if we use the multiplier of 1.86, the bigger waves will be like in 2 foot. So it's good. The period, the time between big sets or big waves is 10 seconds. So I think 10 seconds is tolerable. It's gonna be on Saturday. On Saturday it might get faster, but in the morning it'll be close to 10 seconds, and then towards the end of the day it'll also be back to like 9 seconds. So that's a predicted pattern for Saturday. So I think it's gonna be a good day to try it. I think it might be a good day to try it Saturday to try La Jolla and see how that goes. Okay, where was I? That site is like restricted. You have to have a password to get on this site to see that. I don't want to make it too public, but if you guys want to check that out as a place to have, because you guys are watching my videos and follow MMFC, when you go to that site, romancastro.com/LJDB, La Jolla dashboard. It's gonna ask you for a password, and the password's MMFC, all lowercase. Okay, so let me get back to the stream.
Very secure.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit of a challenge, I guess. That way, it's like it's something cool for us to have too. You know, it's like I want to provide stuff to the community. So cool. All right, so I hope that answers Salty. Cool, good stuff. Okay, go. Yeah, Salty's good. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Cody's got a question. Can you talk about reading the counts? I heard you say a few times, but have no idea what that is or what that's about. Cool, great question.
Sure. So counts. They talk about like fish counts. The biggest or the easiest way to do it is go to 976-tuna.com.
I'm gonna bring that up. Give me a second, and you can talk over it as I bring it up.
Okay. A 976 is a site where basically the boats kind of pay the site, and they act as like an aggregator of all of the fish counts every day, and the boats can call in live on the water reports. So you'll see like, hey, the Thunderbird called in this morning at 7:30. Like, hey, we had a great start to the morning. We got 12 yellowtails on deck. We hooked 20 more. Blah blah blah. You can also just go to any of the landing websites and you can look at their own fish counts for the day and like read their updates. But 976 is cool because it aggregates it and it covers most of like Southern California Bight. So you'll see like Channel Island fish counts and stuff like that, which are cool because even though I've never fished them, it's cool to see like, oh, full limits of white sea bass out there certain times of the year or stuff like that.
Yeah.
On that site, if you click on fish counts, on like that top nav bar.
Fish counts, there it is.
And then you can search by the date, and you can see it'll show you how many anglers out of all the different landings, all the fish they caught. So it can be kind of interesting, and it's a good.
Let's go to Saturday.
He's putting a lot of data together. Terrence runs this site. It's a pretty cool site. So you can go back like Saturday or Sunday is always a good day to look because there's the most boats out on the weekend.
Yep.
And then you can see it's obviously going to be dominated by rockfish, but you can see like when there's certain hits of certain fish or anything like that. But yeah, if you pay attention to 976, you'll see people call in. Like it'll happen someday. It'll happen this summer. There'll be that first day when all of a sudden like all the boats start getting limits yellowfin. Like, and if you notice that day, like generally if you can have the availability and you can book like that night and go the next day, you're very, very likely to have very good yellowfin fishing. So it's one of those things.
Yep. You
have to have the availability and you have to pay attention. But you can also, like most of us use Instagram a lot, like follow. I love like the San Diego and Liberty, those full day boats. They post their counts every single night when they're back and they talk about the day. So, I mean, there's a lot of information to keep you up to date on what's going on out there. Or, you know, just listen to California Fishing News once a week and you'll be up to date.
There you go. Awesome. That's perfect. Do all the work for us. That's so
shameless
good.
Plug.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like that. It's perfect. It's perfect. Nice. Good question, guys. This good stuff. Okay, let's see. Aiden, okay, good stuff. Boomeris, what's up, dude? Welcome to the stream. How do I get more info? Yellowtail, tuna fishing. I've had a boat for over a year and have only fished for calicos and sand bass. I don't know where to start. Orange County launch ramps. Cool. Good question. I think that's a pretty general question. Like you could put in your 2 cents on that if you want. And also if you guys that are in the chat that are more familiar with that area, you guys can give Boomers some pointers. So thanks.
Yeah, I don't know that area super well, but I will say I have read Fish Dope before. Not like paying for that membership. It does cost a little bit, but I just think it's worth it. Just being like a nerd who cares about like reading about what's happening when. I purposely don't have it right now because I don't want to just for my show to be like reciting Fish Dope information that you pay for. Yeah. So I don't have it. I don't look at it right now. But for anyone who's into that information, it's just so. I would read it when I didn't even live in San Diego sometimes just to stay up to date. And they'll talk about like, all right, the Dorado are shitting on patties on this color break. Like, look for the green water. You'll find them with fish. Or like, I know there's spots up there like the Mussel Farm. I think I saw a report recently. A guy like went 10 for 12 for yellows at the Mussel Farm. I don't actually know where that is. I know it's somewhere up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that. A Fish Dope can go a long way. Or always like join a club or any of the sites like I'm talking about, like Bloody Decks. If you pay more attention to those other areas, you'll see reports. So there's on Bloody Decks, there's the California offshore fishing reports, and then there's the California inshore and islands fishing reports that talks about the inshore stuff. So I would check that out. But yeah, I don't know Orange County very well at all.
That's cool. That's still good information there too. So perfect. Well, Alyssa asked a question. She says, what have you learned from rod and reel fishing that has carried over to spearfishing, especially regarding yellowtail? Have you speared yellowtail?
I have speared a handful of yellowtail, but mainly off patties. I've never got like a nice slug, like home guard reef bound, structure-based yellowtail. I would say though it's like the other way. What I've learned spearfishing, I think you applies to rod and reel a lot more, just because like seeing that stuff underwater, it tells you about how the first time I was down south of Bay of LA, like you saw with a certain like incoming tide, all of the fish stacked up on this side of the rock, and then the slack tide, the fish kind of disappear, and then the tide would switch, and they all stack up on the other side of the rock. So I mean, stuff like that is huge. I would say, and more goes from spearfishing to rod and reel. So yeah, I don't know what else I got to say about that.
No, that's perfect.
I love being underwater and watching the fish, man. It's so cool.
Yeah. So I've ever since I started hook and line fishing, I've enjoyed my diving even more, because now I'm not just like looking for a fish to shoot. I'm also trying to. I mean, I'm still kind of learning fish behavior, but now I have more of a mission to learn fish behavior, because I want to be able to have like an advantage when I'm fishing for them. So, yeah, that's cool. And also, since we're talking about this, if you guys ever were curious about like fish behavior and seeing what's under the surface, you guys will be amazed. And you don't have to be like a crazy 100-foot diver to go see some calico's behavior. You can just go to the cove. We have like an awesome cove. You can snorkel. You can watch the calicos hang out and watch how they relate to structure in like 8 feet of water. All you're doing is floating on the surface, and if it's good visibility, you can see them, and you can watch them, and they're gonna watch you, and it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be cool, and you'll see that you'll learn a ton as far as like, okay, I should be casting closer to that rock. Oh, I should be casting into the foam, the breakers, and you can see that where you think, oh, a fish is gonna be like super deep. No, there's like big fish in shallow water, and they're right there, and when you're on the boat, you can't see them, but yeah, it's gonna give you an advantage to just even go snorkeling in the cove and get a feel for the fish's behavior. Okay. Anyway,
Absolutely.
off a soapbox.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Richie says, "Thanks for all you do, CFN and Ramen." Thank you, Rich. I appreciate you. Let's keep it going. Alyssa, would you recommend a 3-prong tip or a flopper for a small fish, 9 to 12 inches, skinny fish? I would do a paralyzer tip, a 3-prong, yes.
Yeah.
For that size of a fish. Let's see. Question: do you bow fish or hunt?
I've never really hunted. It's on something I really like to do, and a year or two ago, I bought myself like a nice compound bow off Craigslist that fit me. So I've been shooting it to get the hang of it, and I do want to do my hunter safety course this year. I was planning on doing it this spring, and then, with the COVID and the classes you have to do in person, it fell off my mind, and I forgot to. But I did get permission. My friend has like 20 acres up in Northern California, and they gave me permission to try to take a deer on it this year.
Oh.
So I do hope to. I mean, it's a lot of us, we get in touch with our food and all of that. So I would love to harvest all of my own protein and never have to buy factory farm meat. Yeah. But we'll see if I get there one day. For now, it's like I got plenty of fish, but you can only eat so much fish. So.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, like on that topic of like learning more skills, like I want to learn some like survival skills. That seems fun, like fire making and just like shelter building, that kind of basic stuff. I want to learn some of that stuff. Anyway, it's on the list. On the list.
Wait, do you watch Alone?
Yeah, I just started watching Alone with my kids because they love it, right?
Dude, and no, me and my girlfriend,
let's watch this.
Yeah, we just started watching it. We totally love it too. And yeah, I've never made a fire with a bow drill, anything like that. So I feel like that's something we could do like on a Saturday if we have time. Like there's wood in people's yards. People try to make fire. I think that would be super fun too. So put me in on that one.
Yeah, it's super like tribal, dude. It's like super like what is it? Castaway, where he's like, I've made fire. He's like no, but wouldn't that be cool? Like say we like do like a kayak camping video. We go and catch fish, and then we build a fire, and then you cook your fish that you built on the fire that you made from scratch. Anyway, it'd be cool. It would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, let's see. GPE Tooth Florentini, what up? Welcome. Any tips on how to catch sheep's head aside from shrimp? That's a good point. That's a good question.
Honestly, no. I have never really caught big sheep's head rod and reel. I've speared. They're on the relatively easier side of the spear scale, so I've speared a couple good ones. I will say though, we were in Bay of LA this week, and two of us are fishing like jigs on the bow, and two of them are fishing dropper loop. And these guys, I mean, it was biting, like little grouper and all sorts of stuff was biting. But these two guys dropped down two like 8 to 10 inch max off the back of the boat on dropper loop, and both hook up, and one pulls in a sheep's head and one pulls in a triggerfish.
Oh,
And
wow.
like big, huge circle hooks. I don't know how they possibly got these, like ate the mac and got that hook in their mouth. But yeah, apparently dropper loop a big mac. But no, honestly, I would say like the best tips would be like about going up to the Channel Islands. You go to those places where you can fish them in shallow water and they exist more often. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm not an expert on catching sheepshead by any means.
Yeah, so like from what I know from sheepshead is they are, yeah, of course shrimp, or like you're definitely gonna use cut bait, and then you want to keep your bait in one spot. So like if you're on a kayak, you might have to be pedaling to stay in place so that you're right there in that spot, and they have time to come check it out, because they're not as willing to attack your bait as the other fish that are in that zone. Like I was fishing La Jolla for sheepshead a while back, and I was using the Go Fish Cam, and I can see sheepshead around my bait, and they would kind of like swim at it and swim next to it and just kind of like do this, and another fish would come out of nowhere just like straight to the thing and get hooked on like a rockfish, and then I'd bring it up. But like there's sheepshead around, right? So maybe multiple hooks, maybe, or like fish that same spot until there's no more rockfish biting at it, and then you'll eventually get the sheepshead that's like been kind of like hesitant to take a bite. But anyway, that's what I gathered from video that I've shot. I haven't published it, but I have it in the queue, and like I have reviewed it just to see what's down there. So another thing that I would recommend is you want to fish on structure, and usually a good indicator that there's structure is if there's kelp coming out, in the area. They'll tell you that the kelp has to anchor to something, right? The kelp anchors to like rock. And so if there's a sandy bottom, it's probably not likely that there's sheephead patrolling that area. They're probably going to be in the reef, and you know that there's reef because there's kelp growing out of it. So get right next to that kelp, and then drop down next to it, not in it, so you don't get tangled up, but next to it. That way your bait is close to the reef where those fish would hang out. That's my tips.
Makes sense.
Let's keep it rolling. Dang, it's already 8. That's crazy.
Yeah, time flies.
Right? All right, so let's see. Okay, guys, any last minute questions, pop them in the chat. I'll give you guys another minute or two. Otherwise, we're going to start wrapping this baby up. Okay. While we wait for more questions to come in, tell us how we get in contact with you, or how we see your channel and your Instagram and all your social media stuff.
The best way is definitely with YouTube, or you can subscribe on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, any podcast app. Just search California Fishing News. I do have a website, but it's kind of a work in progress. You know, right now it does have those trip reports I mentioned on it, so there's some stuff to read. But right now, I basically I'm not even keeping up to date yet because it's a little bit broken. I need to get it to update better with my articles and such. But yeah, look on YouTube or on Instagram, California Fishing News. I have a Facebook page too. Honestly, I love doing the show. I don't necessarily love all of like the social media promoting aspects that go along with it. So I do lack a little bit in that sometimes, and you know, I know it, but
no, it's all good. So what do you prefer updating the most? Let's promote that specifically, right? So let's go with like your channel or your podcast.
Yeah, every single episode will be on YouTube and be on the podcast for audio only.
Perfect.
I try to make them into it. You get the information, but they really are a little better on YouTube, because then you can look at the temp charts and everything with me, photos. So that's definitely the best way. And then I'd love to do more other content now in the future, just like fishing videos. I took the GoPro to Bay of LA, and I have hours of footage to go through, but again, you know how tedious that is. But I'm playing with different ideas, and I smoked a bunch of fish today, so I recorded that so I could do a little recipe video too. So I mean, I'm just trying to make just more fishing content in the future, because I mean, I really enjoy it. And it's like I listened to you today, and it's true. It's like, look, I learned to do Photoshop to make my logo, and I learned to do all of this stuff and learned to edit audio, and it's all just a work in progress. I do it all myself, but I'm mainly doing it for me. And then I'll say, like, there's a few guys who leave really nice comments. I mean, so much, especially when you're beginning and only getting, like 100 views or something. Like the few people that are say like, hey dude, thanks for the show. It means like, I love it. Like that really means a lot to go a long way. So thank you to everybody. And thank you, Roman. I think what you're doing is so rad with the content you're creating and the community you're building. So really thank you too.
Awesome. I'm happy that you're part of the community. I'm happy that you're here, and dude, we're gonna do some stuff together for sure. Like there's like plenty of things that we have in common. We have the diving in the hook and line. We have the content creation. We have just a lot of stuff that I see like that we can work on together. Real quick before you go, that's a good question. What do you prefer, spear fishing or hook and line fishing?
Dude, I mean, I don't know if I could live with one without the other. These days, I've had rod and reel fished so much more, but getting back in the water in Bay of LA, it reminded me just like what a beautiful experience it is, and I absolutely love it underwater. But you know, yeah, you can't always spearfish, so it's good to have both options. And then last thing I'll say is I would love to. Hopefully, this year I'm going to be putting together a California Fishing News charter. So we'll pick a boat, probably one that's like smaller end, like 18 passengers or something, so it's a little bit easier to fill up. But if everyone's into that, I'll try to pick a weekend in like September, maybe after Labor Day, when the fishing should be really good. And so everybody keep that open. I think it'd be really fun to get you out there and get the crew out there together. And I think it could be a really good time.
That would be fun.
So everybody, look forward to that too, maybe.
Perfect. Cool. Awesome. All right. Cool. So there you go, guys. California Fishing News on YouTube, and then it's also California Fishing News in iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, all those different podcast streams. It's the same name, right?
Yeah, California Fishing News everywhere, pretty much. Perfect. The website is cafishingnews.com because domain names. But
awesome. Yeah, no worries. That sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for joining the show. Let's play the music out, and I'm gonna do shout outs on the way out. So thanks again, Ernie.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, everyone. It was rad.
Awesome. See, you can hang out with me on the split screen while we take this baby out.
Yeah, I got a little beer left. It's a perfect time.
Cheers. All right, you guys. Thanks for jumping onto the show. I'm gonna clear this comment here from Ernie. There we go. Good stuff. So Aiden, thanks for jumping on. Garrett, Chris, good to have you back. Let's see, Captain Dan. I think it's Geppetto. Florentini, welcome. Arnie, welcome back. Cody, thanks for your questions. Rich, good questions too. Cal, awesome questions. Brian, Alyssa, Cody. Let's see, who else am I missing here? Let's see, Wayne was on here. Salty Dangler, Leonard. Let's see. I think I'm pretty much gonna recite all these by heart now. Brian, Jet, Dorian, great to have you back. Thanks for coming back, and I hope you enjoyed the interview. I'm expecting you tomorrow for trivia night, so you hope you're ready. Let's see. Yeah, that's right, guys. Tomorrow's trivia night, and tomorrow we're changing the format. We're doing cumulative score. So the last question doesn't win. Whoever gets the most out of 12 wins. Okay, so we're gonna keep score. So every question counts. Every question's got a little bit of weight to it, and I haven't determined the prize yet, but it's probably gonna be a shirt, unless we get a last-minute donation for that. Okay, so Dirty Hooker, I will be reaching out to you to set up the interview with you. That'd be great. Let's see, who else have I missed? I think I got pretty much. Oh, I see Dan. Oh, yep, I got Dan already. Cool. If Oscar, if you're still in here, HTX, thanks for jumping on. And Aiden was the first one in today. Cool, good stuff. All right, guys. Thanks again, Ernie. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully you can make it, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, dude.
Thank you, dude, so much. Thanks, everyone.